Boy, like I said in the beginning of the stream, it's a great day to be LeBron. It's a great day to be a LeBron James fan. And it's a bad day to be Stephen A. Smith. And it's a bad day to be Brian Windhorst. It's a bad day to be a part of traditional mainstream sports media. That's just what it is. So you might be asking, why, B-Souls? Why do you believe this? How did you concur? How did you conclude? Okay. Well, it started off with LeBron James. Well, I believe it actually started with Stephen A. It might have started with LeBron. Fuck it. LeBron James went on the Pat McAfee show today. And I'm not going to lie, even in the pod game, he's efficient. Hey, chat, even in the pod game, he's efficient. You might be asking, again, B-Souls, why do you say that? Why do you say that? All of these clips from today, chat, came from an hour-long interview. An hour-long interview. Okay? Here it is on the Pat McAfee channel. All of this content, all of these clips came from 70 minutes. That's efficient as hell. Okay? So you might be asking, what did he say on the Pat McAfee show? First of all, hearing LeBron James swear is still very weird. Okay? Hearing LeBron, not hearing LeBron, hearing Stephen A. swear is also weird. But I think as we continue to age and as the media game continues to evolve, you know, I'm glad that we're seeing more stripped down versions of the past media, the real side and things of that nature. But nevertheless, I digress. LeBron James was on the Pat McAfee show and let off a bunch of takes, addressed a bunch of shit, because they keep it real at the Pat McAfee show. Okay, so one of the talking points when it came to this interview was, one, him even being on the Pat McAfee show. Okay, there's a take of Rashad McCants, I believe today, saying that, you know, it's kind of weird that, you know, Braun still hasn't showed up on Club Shay Shay, but it showed up on Pat McAfee. And I will say this. I don't think it's something that, like, you know, says something about LeBron in a very serious way, but I do find it weird. I ain't gonna lie. I do find it weird. I personally feel like if I'm LeBron James and I look at the media landscape, I would put the first show that I would put on my list of guest shows to be on would be Club Shay Shay. Extremely big platform, led by, you know, Shannon Sharp, one of the biggest LeBron fans on the internet and things of that nature. But he's been on, I know he had a guest appearance, and this is where people corrected me. He had a guest appearance on Richard Jefferson's podcast a couple years ago. Okay. He had one on, whatchamacallit. He had one on Jason Kelsey's podcast this year. And now this is his latest one with Pat McAfee. And I don't know. I just definitely find that interesting. Okay. So he goes on the Pat McAfee show and he says various things. Okay. Speaks on Jimmy Butler, D Wade, talking about Heat culture. That's kind of light. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of cool. This was one of the big ones. This is LeBron James on Stephen A. I don't know if I could play it. He's like on a Taylor Swift tour right now. He couldn't wait for the video to come out. Actually, I'm going to play it because we watched this earlier.
No, yeah. Which leads, obviously, to you and Stephen A. Hey, legit, that feels like a moment that had been brewing for a long time.
He's like on a Taylor Swift tour run right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're watching it. Yep. We're all seeing it.
Oh, yeah.
You're seeing it as well.
He literally, it started off with, I didn't want to address it.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't want to address it. I wasn't going to address it. But since the video came out, I feel the need to address it.
Yeah, on fire. You would be not to talk about it.
Are you kidding me? If there's one person that couldn't wait to the video to drop so you could address it, it's your ass. Like, seriously, it's And like another, he completely like missed the whole point. The whole point. Never would I ever not allow people to talk about the sport, criticize players about what they do on the court. That is your job, to criticize or to, be in a position where, okay, if a guy's not performing, that is all part of the game. That's all part of the game. But when you take it and you get personal with it, it's my job to not only protect my damn household, but protect the players. And I think a lot of the media, including him, and I know he's gonna be happy as hell. He's gonna be smiling from ear to ear when he hears me talking about it again. Oh my God, he's gonna get.
LeBron's going crazy. This part right here is the funny part.
Get home and grab some ice cream out of the fucking freezer and sit in his chair in his tighty whities on the couch.
I hope at some point you two do get a chance. But you're right.
Dude, relax, bro. Relax. Seriously.
Yo, Bron funny, bro. Bron is funny. So that's one take. I will say this. I want to divide this conversation into two parts. One is just LeBron and Stephen A. And the first part is just a conversation about sports media. Because I think a lot of the things that LeBron did today really is telling of the current state of sports media. Okay? But we'll get into that here in a second. Couple of other things. Okay? LeBron says he'll be able to play in any era. Again, that's kind of like, I think this was also the podcast where he said Giannis will drop 250 in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? He had some quotes about, his relationship with Michael Jordan, right? Now this one right here. This one right here. This the clip right here. Hey, hold on.
I see a lot of shit too. Like I seen Brian Windhorst on one of these shows not too long ago. Like
Wendy.
Yeah, you played over high school.
Wendy, you guys played together in high school.
Yeah,
right? He was on your high school.
Yeah, this guy was like, says he's like my fucking best friend. These guys are just weird. But I see a lot.
Woo! Damn. Bron just called you weird. Bron just called you weird. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, bro. So, fired shots at Stephen A. back again. Fired shots at Brian Windhorst. Specifically, essentially calling him, not even essentially. He called Brian Windhorst a weirdo. He called him a glazer. And I just find it interesting that I get it. I get why he's doing it now. He's at the tail end of his career, this, that, and the third. But Brian Windhorst has been in the game for a very, very long time. Very, very long time. 10 plus years, I believe. I ain't gonna lie. Ever since I started watching basketball, Brian Windhorst has been there from the jump. Okay? And this is a guy that, his claim to fame has been following LeBron James's career from the very beginning. He was there at St. Vincent St. Mary's. I don't know if he said that they were classmates or whatever, but from a quick Google search of Brian Windhorst's career, I don't believe that actually is the case. If we look here, Windhorst began covering James during his high school playing career and began covering the Cavaliers in 2003, the year that James was drafted. Okay, but let's see. Windhorst attended high school in Akron, Ohio at St. Vincent St. Mary's, the same school that LeBron would later attend, and graduated from Kent State University with a Bachelor of Arts in Journalism in 2000. Okay, so he graduated from college in 2000, and I'm assuming went back to St. Vincent St. Mary's to cover LeBron James. And then ever since then, again, his claim to fame has been essentially being, the LeBron guy in the media. He's been a follower, you know what I'm saying? And I do find it interesting that, like, one, LeBron James is just, hey, if you speak out of line, man, I'm talking about you. So with the Stephen A. Smith shit, him talking about his child and, fatherhood, he's speaking that about you. But Brian Windhorst, allegedly, now I haven't actually seen the clip. There's a clip of Stephen A. also saying that this never even happened. But, Brian Windhorst making it seem like him and LeBron were best buddies. He's getting called out now. And I think an interesting part about this as well is the names that LeBron is not saying. I think that's a very interesting conversation point when it comes to this, is the fact that LeBron James is saying all of this, speaking out about his critics now, speaking about, motherfuckers that have been talking about him for years. But never once still has he mentioned Skip Bayless by name. Never once has he still mentioned Skip Bayless by name. And that makes me wonder, one, if LeBron is talking like this now, I could just imagine what LeBron was saying during Skip's prime. Matter of fact, he's probably talking more shit now that Skip Bayless is actually falling off. I would argue. You know what I'm saying? But I truly do think now, and I'm very, very convinced that it is a deliberate thing that LeBron James is not acknowledging Skip Bayless, especially with how we talked about Stephen A., is because that's exactly what Skip Bayless is looking for, is LeBron James's acknowledgement, is to start drama, is to keep his ratings up and all this different shit. So I actually applaud LeBron James for never mentioning Skip Bayless. Never mentioning Skip Bayless. You know what I'm saying? But also that makes me wonder, going back to the Shannon Sharpe conversation, is it deliberate that LeBron James is not, mentioning Shannon? Because, I think they've interacted on social media, but him going on Club Shay Shay, is that like a deliberate thing? Not going on Club Shay Shay, is that a deliberate thing? Like, has LeBron gone out of his way to stay on unbiased platforms or like center platforms when it comes to the LeBron conversation? He don't want to stick with the Glazers. He don't want to stick with the haters. He's just going to stay with, Jason Kelsey. He's just going to stay with Pat McAfee, which are pretty neutral platforms when it comes to this. I do think that's very, very interesting. But outside of that, another part of this conversation is LeBron James. This is on a more positive note. LeBron James and the Mind the Game podcast is back. You may be asking, it's back. With who? Not JJ Redick, but LeBron James is still actually there. But this time with Steve Nash. And I think, listen, I don't know Steve Nash's media career, but I definitely know that motherfucker knows ball. Goon cheese on his beard. What the fuck? What? Okay. I definitely know this dude knows his ball, okay? And I think this is such a great pairing. Chat. When we talk about what Mind the Game is, what it stands for, getting LeBron James and Steve Nash to talk about basketball, two of the greatest offensive weapons in NBA history at their peak. Matter of fact, not even at their peaks, period. Two of the greatest offensive weapons in NBA history, talking about the X's and O's of the game. Two of the greatest playmakers, two of the greatest point guards. No pun intended, two of the greatest minds of the game, talking ball. This is about to be amazing. So, first of all, I'm excited from that front. But I do think that everything LeBron James did today, one, let me say this. LeBron James is a very calculated individual. And I think everything that he did on March 26, 2025, was a calculated move. I'm going to say it. Number one, attacking Brian Windhorst and calling him weird. That was intentional. attacking one of the mainstream media dudes who thinks that they can just talk out of their neck because they got some insider shit. That's a part of the plan. Number 2, reigniting and addressing the Stephen A. Smith shit and doubling down. That is on purpose. Number 3, going on the Pat McAfee show specifically, one of First Take's competitors. And if anything, one of the shows that they specifically brought in to be one of the future faces of ESPN, I think that was very, very deliberate. That was very, very deliberate. Also, releasing this trailer, releasing this teaser of Mind the Game coming back on this exact day, all of this is calculated. I am so convinced that all of this is calculated. And it is an attack on traditional media. It is an attack on traditional media, and I am here for it. I am here for it, chat. I'm being so serious. I am so fucking here for it. Traditional media is so, specifically in sports, but, even in the political lane, they've been definitely arguing this. And I tend to agree. Traditional media is so ass. Traditional media is so out of touch. Traditional media is a bunch of legacy acts now that have been in the game for 10 plus years, and that's really all they're holding on to now. You know what I'm saying? We're not even talking about the content of their work. We're just talking about this dude has been in the game for X amount of years, so therefore we should trust him. That's a lot of this. And I think that's the reason, one of the main reasons why Stephen A. and them have the egos that they have is because we've allowed them to build up this ego that they feel like they're bigger than journalism, that they're bigger than just analyzing the game. You know what I'm saying? They're big Brian Windhorst. You know what I'm saying? Big Adrian Wojnarowski. Big Stephen A. That's the problem. And I'm glad as well. And I've definitely been negative when it comes to some of this conversation as well. When it comes to players coming into the podcasting space, because a lot of the player podcasts, specifically coming from the current ones, they're not that great as well from a content perspective. But what I will say is, I think Mind the Game specifically, and Thinking Basketball specifically, and a couple other platforms out there, have definitely absolutely shown that there is an appetite for deep X's and O's conversations. There's clearly a want from the NBA community of just actual basketball analysis. I know that sounds crazy. Actual basketball analysis. You know what I'm saying? And it's at a very competitive and high degree, right? Like when you look at the numbers Mind the Game was pulling off, when you look at the numbers JJ Redick was pulling off when he was potting, when you look at the numbers that Thinking Basketball as a solo platform produces from a solo content creator, independent content creator, it is per content competitive with these narrative-driven platforms like First Take, like First Things First, like Undisputed back in the day. You know what I'm saying? And if anything, it's one-upping these platforms. If anything, it's one-upping these platforms. So there's clearly a want for this. And the way mainstream media is moving makes me believe that it is a choice. It is a deliberate choice by mainstream media to not talk about the X's and O's. X's and O's. Let me say that again. It is a deliberate choice by mainstream media to not talk about the X's and O's of the game. Because they can. Because they can. I'm sorry to tell you, chat. It is easier to start up shows. It is easier to produce content when you have the backing of $1 billion company, of $1 million company, however, big ESPN is. They have the cachet. They have the legacy value. They have the resources. They have the connections to truly bring anyone they really want on the platform. You know what I'm saying? But they keep on choosing to bring on and extend the Stephen A. Smiths of the world, You know what I'm saying? The Shannon Sharps of the world. Respect the Shannon Sharp, but let's keep it a stack. He don't be talking about X's and O's when it comes to basketball. You know what I'm saying? Pat McAfee, I don't know enough about his football. I don't know enough about his football takes. They just canceled. They just stopped working with like Zach Lowe. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know the other shows that they got on the platform. But if they really wanted to, they could bring on a Mind the Game type show. As a matter of fact, they did it back in the day with Kobe. Do y'all remember the what was that series they had with Kobe? There was a series Kobe did analyzing current NBA players. He was very X's and O's when it comes with it, slowing down the footage, giving them advice, like giving voiceovers. I believe that was backed by ESPN. So they have done it, and that succeeded for them. I think it was Spotlight. Zach is saying Spotlight. I forgot what it was called. But it was a fantastic show. Everyone loved it. Detail. Okay, Detail. If y'all remember Detail, ESPN did a show like that. It succeeded. It had really good reception. You know, unfortunately, obviously, they couldn't do it with the passing of the late, great Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace. But, bro, that existed. It succeeded. So now we have this case studies on your platform. Bro, who the fuck remembers Sports Science? Do y'all remember Sports Science? That was one of my favorite parts of watching ESPN back in the day. So oh my God, we have case studies within ESPN of this shit working, both back in the day, in recent memory, right now, on other platforms. So what I'm saying is this is a deliberate decision by ESPN primarily. I'm going to keep it a stack. To continue to push these narrative-driven, hot take-driven platforms. That's ultimately what I'm saying. This is on purpose at this point. And I get why. On some insider shit chat, one thing I've definitely learned with my new job is that a lot of legacy media is ran by some old ass motherfuckers, man. It just is, you know? Like the company I work at is a very progressive company when it comes to the media landscape. And even then, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the people I work with are still on the older side. Respect to them. I love y'all. You know what I'm saying? But the people who work at ESPN, the people who work at the NBA, the people who work at the MLB, these are old-ass motherfuckers that, in my opinion, don't really got a pulse on the culture anymore. Don't really got a pulse on what sports fans want these days. You know? And they're on some if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of shit. But we're getting to a point where y'all have had that mentality for such a long period of time. It is broke now. You know what I'm saying? It is broke. So we gotta go fix it. We gotta adjust with the times. You know what I'm saying? And I'm happy that players have reclaimed their voice. I'm happy that we are, you know, living in an age where players can get their shit off and hold these media personalities accountable. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy we live in that era, chat. I'm happy we live in that era.